Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a model launched in 2018. This is the Urban Jürgensen reference 2140 white gold. It has a white gold case 40 millimeters in diameter with exquisitely hand-welded lugs. It is only 11.3 millimeters thick and from lug tip to lug tip 48.2 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Swiss made but with Danish roots, the watch has a classical elegance on the wrist. Urban Jürgensen, like Breguet, one of the historic great names in horology, and this watch lives up to that legacy. The ergonomics are excellent. Well, not a tiny watch by dress watch standards, nor is it oversized. You can see, even pulling the strap tight, the lugs are not over the edge of my wrist. The cuff shot reveals that, especially with the concave bezel profile, it will easily slide underneath a sleeve. I'm going to pull my sleeve back as far as possible now and show you the down the barrel shot of my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. The lugs are not out over the edge, which means I would recommend this watch for wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference or larger. From a distance, you can see it is quite nicely proportioned on my wrist. The strap, high grade. You can see a matte finish, medium rectangular scale alligator leather. Now this is a monotone stitch here. I would describe it as anthracite. It's not quite black, but it's much darker than gray. The edge is also shear cut, so you can see the layers, both upper and lower, of the leather applied. You can see this is a gorgeous handmade Jean Rousseau factory strap. We often put these on watches we like. When I say Jean Rousseau factory, I don't mean Urban Jürgensen factory. I mean it comes from Jean Rousseau. And their factory is in Paris, and they are the OEM strap supplier to F.P. Journe, which is why I like to use them on watches we sell, because the quality is unimpeachably high. And sometimes they bring out the best in the watches. Taking a quick look at the buckle, you can see it has an unusual concave contour that runs all the way around, almost like a full circumferential fluting. It's an unusual singular look for a pin buckle, and as you can see, it is a properly branded Urban Jürgensen factory piece, so they are trying to keep the design of the lugs and the buckles consistent. And you can see that design. We have a fluted flare to the lugs themselves. We also have a concave bezel that runs all the way around, circumferentially concave, allowing a sleeve to ramp up and over the side. There's a bit of a soft bevel that thins out as you move towards the edge of the lug. The case band is defined by the overlapping flange of the case back and the bezel, and you can see the bezel has several different contours, but the primary one is concave. The lugs are welded on. Take a good look at the junction between the case and the lug, and you could see that these were hand welded, constructed as separate pieces, welded together, and then evidence of all the gathered material from the weld filed away by hand to create that sharp artisanal break between case and lug. This is slow going, handcrafted case construction, and at the time this watch was made, Urban Jürgensen, making only a few hundred watches a year, was able to use excruciatingly slow and traditional manual process like that. We have a polished Urban Jürgensen branded crown, and we have a dial that is made of sterling silver. Yes, this is a solid AG 925 dial. So a disc of sterling silver, one disc, treated with several different passes from lathes. You can see there's a dental pattern outboard around the minutes track. Inboard, we have a sort of vogue or wave pattern, and then a basket weave within the small seconds. And this is one piece of silver cut on rose lathes and straight line machines, reductive guilloche, the real thing, not the stamped kind, and then galvanized black. Taking a look at the hands, they are single piece, manually crafted and polished, white gold, as are the indices, which are applique and faceted on each side with mirror polish. A gorgeous looking watch with a lovely vaulted Urban Jürgensen logo at the top. You can see how it traces the arc of the bezel and the dial. Taking a look at the reverse side, a manufacturer movement, impressively sized to fit the case. That's always a mark of a true manufacturer, when you can build a movement properly sized for a case. Taking a look at the movement, this is what they call the P4, crafted in-house. It's extraordinary. Manual wind, 3-day power reserve, 3 Hz beat rate, 23 joules. It has a full balance bridge and a free sprung index for shock tolerance and in the case of the free-sprung balance, very precise adjustment. It also features something that a lot of high-end independent brands do not have, which is hacking seconds on the manufacturer caliber. Now, the quality of the movement is unimpeachable. It's gorgeous. All this is water resistant down to 30 meters. If you look carefully, the piece that stands out is the channel between the barrel bridge and the train bridge. You see how we have 1, 2, 3, 4 interior angles. That's where bevels meet in sharp inward creases. A lot of Geneva hallmark movements don't even have one of those. That can only be done by hand, at least up to this point, can only be done by hand. And they're beautifully executed too. Not all interior angles are created equal. These are nice, deep, drawn out over the top of the bridges and super sharp in definition. You can also see that we have a sharp outward point adjacent. That's also fairly difficult to achieve because that's also where two bevels converge. We have a lovely Côte de Soleil or sun ray stripe that radiates out from an imaginary center point atop the balance. We have satination on the ratchet wheel core, and then you can see the edge, the toothed edge of the ratchet wheel here, polished. We have this lovely media blasted base underneath a satin finished swan's neck style click spring, and you could see the use of both polished and fire-blued screws on this movement. You can also see the balance is huge, so because it has a slightly lower beat rate, Urban Jürgensen uses a balance with massive inertia to make up for some of the chronometric detrimental effects of a 3 Hertz beat rate. That's countered by making the balance very, very large. You can also see there's engine turning on the base plate. The ungulage is gleaming, bright, rounded, and beautiful. And then there's a handsome satination on the wheels with a little bit of interior beveling in the train wheels themselves, a detail I always love to see. This is a gorgeous movement in a gorgeous watch. Silver dial, white gold hands and indices, white gold case, welded lugs, manufacturer movement, interior angles. This is as good as it gets from a brand that was recently purchased by Kari Voutilainen, and he seeks to bring it back to its historic prominence. So this is also a brand on the rise. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.